Okay, this is Mrs. Wachowskis in the library, and we're going to talk about using Artstor to find art, and then what the way I think the best way to download that art and put it into your PechaKucha is. Okay, so let me just tell you real quick because this video is on the open web, and I can't put the password on the open web, but the remote passwords are here. Okay, so you go into Artstor, and Artstor is one of the few databases that we don't have authenticated. So you have to put in username and password. Really sorry about that. A bunch of things dropped. I'll fix that later. Alrighty, so it's going to load up. You can make your own account, I think, so that you can have like saved pictures, but I don't really see that as a thing that is needed to be done here. So this has saved my information, and it typically does that when I use the same computer over and over. I'm sure it will do for you also. I will tell you the password. You can check it on the remote's password page, but I can't put it on here. Okay, so we're going to hit log in. This is the generic SPX password. Okay, so you can see, there we go. So we're going to start by looking for Aphrodite. And keep in mind, I have a pretty good sense of your research project and the requirements of the PechaKucha, but if I say something that kind of is off, assume that I don't understand something, like the exact time period. So basically, I put in Aphrodite, and what I do know is you need to have images, pictures, art from that time period. Okay, so let's look at I put in Aphrodite and I get 1,600 hits, and you don't want all 1,600 hits. Okay, so there's all sorts of things over here. I don't know what these things mean. That means something. I didn't look it up, but I do know. Let's say I'd made this for the last 200 years. Oh, wait, I just did that wrong. Last 200 years. There we go. It's going to get current views of what Aphrodite might have looked like. Okay, so and you will see that does not meet the requirements. So this is the head of Aphrodite. Okay, but the guy that did it in 1890. That's not an appropriate choice for this project. They're looking for art from the time period of when people believed in Greek gods and goddesses, which I can't remember exactly when that was. I don't know how far that goes back. I know that I was reading that like Poseidon was was a part of religion all the way back to the Mycenaean time period, which is before the Greeks became the focus of civilization. So I know some of these Greek gods and goddesses have an even longer time period than others. And then I know it as Christianity took hold, it kind of went away. So I'm guessing if I were looking for, though you guys probably have a better sense of this. So right now I'm limiting this to about 1,000 years before Christ and taking it to about 500 years after Christ. I think CE is common era. I think before common era, common era. Okay, so I'm going to click through here. Okay, so in theory, I could just click out some of these things that, you're thinking, well, it shouldn't be in, Greece is in Europe, right? No, you got to remember, I think it's called Asia Minor, and they're referring it to as Western Asia. It would have spread, right? You probably have known that already. It's going to spread to even the top of Africa. But I even clicked through here. I'm like, what made its way into North America? And I clicked through, and I just think this is miscatalogued. Okay, so this should have been an appropriate, because it was first or second century. Let me close this, get rid of that. It's the repository is Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is in New York, and I don't know if that's why it got miscatalogued. So I think if you've got lots and lots and lots of hits, you can start getting rid of stuff if you want, but if you don't, just wait, because things can be miscatalogued, and that's not the first time I've seen things miscatalogued in here. Okay, scrolling down. So you got 1,600. Now you've got like 900 hits, right? When we've limited the years, you can decide that you want to look for sculptures, installations. You can just look around. But let's say you're trying to tell that story, because I know you're trying to tell a story of Aphrodite. Okay, so you know, so I'm going to put Aphrodite and Adonis in here. And so it's going to look for work where both of them are in the same work. Okay. So now I've got, this is 38 hits. So I've got all these different interpretations. Notice that my time period got reset. So I need to change that again. So every time I change that search, I'm going to have to change that time period again. Okay. So these are 3 different vases. Actually, I think these are the 2 same vases. I actually like this interpretation of it. And I'm going to show you what you're going to do with this, and then how you are going to capture that image. Okay. One of the reasons we like using Artstor is because you can verify where the work comes from, because that's something you have to do in a citation. You have to verify that it is accurate. It's not a newer interpretation. I like this. This is a drawing from 1906 of this vase. So what you can see is they've taken this vase and they've kind of expanded so that you can see it all in one picture. I thought this is really interesting. So I keep going in and I'm making it big. I'm going to show you. It's in the British Museum. It's a drawing, and it's in 1905. Okay, so oftentimes, not always, you're going to find over here. Let me see if I can get it down here. That Aphrodite is the woman on the ladder. And it'll oftentimes tell you what it's doing. She's receiving flowers, vessel with flowers from Eros. Probably Adonis is in this picture too, somewhere. I guess I gotten off track, but so I can keep making this bigger. Okay, here we go. So this is what I think is kind of interesting. Down here in this little area here, you can see the little red box is showing the area that you've captured. If I go over here and download, I find this odd, and I hit download file, it'll download the whole picture, and it comes in about 100 kilobytes or less. Okay. Give me a second. I'm going to pause this. Okay. So what I was saying, sorry, I had a phone call, download file. When I download the file, it grabs the whole thing and it brings it in under 100 kilobytes, which is a decent sized photo. You're just putting it on a PowerPoint, but then you're trying to put it up on a screen and make it big. So I have found, and I do not understand why this is, and I don't know if it's based on the resolution of my computer, but I messed with this. I would actually make this bigger or smaller based on the view that you're wanting. If you want the whole thing, do the whole thing. If you want the whole thing, get the whole thing in your view, and then hit download view. Okay, but I really think for most of this kind of stuff, you're going to want to focus in, even if you do multiple pictures of it, focus in on the view that you want. Okay, hit download view. Then it's zooming in and it's giving me a picture about 3 or 4 times better resolution. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's how it's playing out. So I would focus in on the view you want and then download the view. Okay. So this link here, at first I thought, oh, that's great. We can just embed the picture using the link, but click on the link and you see it's just a link to the web page. It's not a link to the picture. And so you cannot embed the picture into a Google slide. However, I would highly suggest you provide this link in like Noodle Tools or wherever you're keeping your citation. That way you can easily come back to it. Oftentimes, and Ms. Stockard may be different, but I can remember many times when I had to do presentations, the citation required me to provide the link to to the image at the very bottom. And so when you do that in Google Slides, you can make it tiny, tiny, tiny. And so somebody could find it if they're looking for it, but they don't need it, but it links out to where you found the picture. Okay, I'm going to stop this video because this is about to end, and I'll pick up in the next video.